about Maxel Alumni Association. It's an official association of Maxel Leadership Council, which is the brainchild of Professor Dr. Ashraf Rizvi, who is also the chairman of Maxel. Our objective is to promote this interest of alumni along with Maxel. We are striving hard towards a common goal, that is educational upliftment of minorities. Maxel conducts courses with a nominal fee, which are very useful for career enhancement and job opportunities, namely micro MBA, training for NTA, IIT Foundation course from 8th standard, certificate course in digital marketing, advanced English course, certificate program in communication, basic English course for beginners. Our association organizes educational webinars for the benefit of young and experienced professionals. Under the leadership of founder, President, Engineer Wasim Amin Sahab, we have initiated several programs to develop leadership and communication skills. Our association has members across the globe, such as India, USA, UK, and Middle Eastern countries. And our members come from all walks of life, such as doctors, engineers, teachers, and business professionals. I'm very much glad to cordially welcome you all to this wonderful session by name Commit to Quit, which is going to increase your lifespan by safeguarding your health and also make you economically strong by saving money, for which United Medical Mission is striving hard to create public awareness. United Medical Mission is a network of NGOs endeavoring to create a healthier and vibrant global community based in Bangalore. It aims at collaborating with community hospitals and great agencies to work towards the upliftment of the health in infrastructure, as well as for preventive medicine, which helps reduce the morbidity and mortality, in turn reducing the global burden of disease. To achieve the same, it intends to conduct public awareness drives, mobile clinics, liaise with community-based health centers. It will also strive to promote training platforms to form a dynamic and highly skilled workforce with a spirit of compassion and empathy to serve the community and to form a healthier, productive, and global community. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to the following sponsors of this session, namely FAIME, United Medical Mission, NMH Alumni Association, Maxel Alumni Association, Maxel Leadership Council, Anti-Smoking Society, Qatar. I would also like to extend a warm and smoky welcome to the panel of following speakers of this session, namely Dr. Zishan Akhil, Dr. Amanullah Wadakangara, Dr. Saud Ahmed, and Dr. Syed Sultan, Dr. Dr. Noor Fatima, and Advocate Ashad Jamil, Mr. Manoj Pereira. Now let me introduce you to today's program coordinator, Engineer Wasim Amin. He is civil engineer by profession with more than 20 years of experience and is an entrepreneur having business operations in Qatar. He is founder president of Maxel Alumni Association and vice president at Smedley's Toastmasters Club. Thank you. Over to Engineer Wasim Amin.
Thank you, Engineer Jamshid, for the welcome speech. To introduce him, he is a civil engineer by profession and worked for Ministry of Defense in the rank of Major in Saudi Arabia and Oman. He is the team leader at Maxel Alumni Association. With lineup of speakers from relevant professional background, we shall have an interesting sessions and get some important insights and takeaways for the benefit of our society. The program is divided into 3 sessions. Session 1, we shall have speeches from doctors. Session 2, our brothers shall share their experience and their commitment to quit smoking, something interesting to learn how to quit. Session 3, we shall have Q&A. Please raise your hand to ask questions. Due to time constraints, limited questions shall be taken. However, we may take additional questions post end of formal event if feasible. Please note that we shall mute all participants to maintain the decorum of the forum. Our first speaker for today is Dr. Zishan Akib. Qatar-born Indian citizen, he did his medicine from Karnataka Institute of Medical Science, has done diploma in lifestyle medicine from Wheel Cornell Medicine, Qatar, and is a board certified lifestyle medicine physician. Currently working in ICU at Hamad General Hospital as a assistant physician. He shall speak on tobacco. Let the numbers speak. Over to Dr. Zishan. I shall allow you to share the screen. Dr. Zishan, can you please unmute yourself, please?
Yes. Do I have the access to share the screen?
Can you check now?
Okay. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, please proceed.
All right. Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all the participants for this lovely program today. I'm thankful for the organizers for giving me an opportunity to share my insights on this very important day. So today I'll be speaking on tobacco, let the numbers speak. And as you can see the topic, going straight into the topic, I would be just going into the statistical aspects, which probably will give an overall view of what exactly tobacco has an effect on the people, how many people are actually into this, and what happens when you leave it, and what are the health effects based on tobacco dependency. So there is something which I have specialized in recently, and this is a recent branch in medicine that is called lifestyle medicine. And lifestyle medicine is basically a branch in medicine which is coming up now, which deals with self-care and self-management. Now, generally, when you go to a doctor, when we go to a doctor, what generally happens is the patient keeps his health in the hands of the doctor. So you go to the doctor, you say, I'm coughing, I'm sneezing, I have fever. The doctor says, fine, take this medicine. You take it, you come back, you don't feel well, you go back, you tell him again, he gives you another medicine, you come back. So what happens is the patient completely trusts the doctor for his entire health. In lifestyle medicine, what we are trying to do is we're trying to ensure that the patient is involved in the management care. And that's where the two components, self-care and self-management. As you can see on the screen, I'm not going to elaborate on all of these points, but one of the components of the 6 components of lifestyle medicine is avoiding risky substances. And if you would actually look, all these things are actually correlated. People who do not have a healthful eating habits often resort to some other substances to ensure they feel better. People who are not quite able to manage their stress often come back to using the risky substances. People are not able to maintain and form their relationships, often try using the risky substances as well. And most important in today's world, people who do not sleep well, have problems maintaining their health in general, they again resort to risky substances. So, being with the COVID-19 ongoing now, we're all talking about immunity. Develop your immunity, keep it strong, keep it strong. Well, there are a lot of things that actually develop the immunity. Immunity cannot be developed over a day. Similarly, smoking is one of the aspects which actually harms the health of a person, and in turn is also responsible for the immunity of a person. So, smoking over a long time actually brings down the immunity of a person as well. So, amidst the COVID-19, I would say this is the best time to actually start considering about what exactly smoking is, its harmful effects, and how can we try to improve our immunity. Now, coming to the numbers, the studies say, the literature says that approximately $300 billion are annually spent for the economic cost of a tobacco. Now, this basically involves the medical cost, which is about 130 billion, and about $150 billion are lost in the productivity. Now, this is basically a very huge number which has been compiled, as you can see in the statistical view. What we have seen is one of the largest preventable causes of morbidity and mortality is tobacco. It's just the simple tobacco which has just come in. If we could actually move it off, a lot of the morbidity and mortality can just be simply prevented, no medicines required. Now, when we talk about cigarettes, there is something called modern cigarettes. And people say, okay, fine, I'm not going to take the traditional ones. How about the modern cigarettes? Now, what we have found is the modern cigarettes are more dangerous as compared to the traditional ones. The reason I've mentioned on the screen are two things. First thing is the ventilated filters. So these modern cigarettes have ventilated filters in them. Now, these ventilated filters actually, what they do is they promote drawing chemicals more deeper into the tissue because they have some vigorous inhalation in them because of these filters. So what happens is about 70 different chemicals which are present in the cigarette smoke of the modern cigarettes, just because of the ventilated filters, they go in quite deep actually. So modern cigarettes are no alternative for traditional smoking cigarettes. Now, in the literature, when we see, very shockingly, 1 out of every 5 deaths is related to smoking in the US. And I will not be surprised if this number is, if not same, in different parts of the world. And I have just highlighted there in the red, 1 of every 2 persons who uses tobacco has shown to actually die early on, prematurely. So tobacco has shown to kill every second person of the 2 persons who consume them. Interestingly, smoking causes a lot of health problems. Now, they may range from diabetes, they may range from joint pains, which we call something called rheumatoid arthritis, they may range from cancers, all sorts of problems. But if you see the major ones over here is the lung cancer. 87% of lung cancer deaths are related to smoking. A bit less on the heart disease deaths, about 32%, because it has a lot of other factors involved as well. But surprisingly, if you see, there are 40 plus type of cancers that are related to tobacco use. So one thing, if we would like to take away from today's small talk, would be about 40 plus cancers are related to tobacco use. If you could just remove them, you're actually avoiding yourself from 40 plus cancers. Now, talking about all of this, just coming down, okay, if I start quitting smoking, what actually happens? Actually, there's a lot of good news there. The timeline is if you immediately stop smoking, the risk of heart attack cuts by about 50% as compared to someone who was smoking with you. In an year, the risk of heart disease comes down to about 50% of someone who is not smoking. That is, if I do not smoke and if someone else smokes, we both almost become similar. And about 2 to 5 years, the risk of stroke is similar to the non-smoker. And by 10 years, the problem of lung cancer is reduced by 50%. Smokers can quit, smokers do quit. And surprisingly, today there are more former smokers in the world than actual smokers. And if you see on the statistics, we see that about 68.8%, about 70% of the people in US want to quit. But the problem is, if you see down, only 5% of the above will be able to quit without assistance. Now, if you see, and this is how I'm going to complete my session today, is by absolute numbers, many people have quit without assistance. But if you see on the screen, 50% of those people who have tried to quit without assistance resume within 2 weeks. And 75% of them, they will resume within 1 month. So we have a lot of programs in which the physicians use the evidence-based programs. They resort to self-care and self-management based on your preference. And by using counseling and medications, we try to help the people reduce their smoking. Finally, I would like to conclude by saying, by medical guidance, the literature says about 40 to 50% of the people who are using tobacco, within 3 months, they will be free tobacco. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, and I hope you have been benefited. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Zishan, for the wonderful stats. Your life is in your hands to make of it what you choose. Our next speaker is Dr. Amanullah. He is a teacher turned journalist and a businessman. He is the founder of Anti-Smoking Society in Qatar. He shall speak on Together for a Tobacco-Free Society. Over to Dr. Amanullah. Dr. Amanullah, can you unmute yourself, please?
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, dear friends. First of all, let me thank the organizers for this wonderful opportunity. Today, when we are marking the World No Tobacco Day, it's a day to educate the public about the hazards of smoking to the individual and to the society. Dr. Zishan had given you an outline of the amount the smoking has been, or people have been addicted for this severe disease. That is, smoking itself is a disease. We are living in a world of pandemic, that is the corona pandemic. In fact, smoking is another pandemic which penetrates to the society in different ways and cause concerns and problems to the society and to the individuals. In my experience, I have been associated with the not smoking programs, anti-smoking programs in Qatar for the last 27 years. And we have been conducting several programs in coordination with the Ministry of Public Health. While visiting the labor camps, the workers' places, and the marketplaces, we have seen this smoking is spreading like an epidemic. And people do not consider, or people, though they are aware of the risks or dangers of it, they are belittling the seriousness of the situation. We used to tell them, this smoking is not only harmful to your health, it is harmful to the health of others as well. There are enough medical evidences showing second-hand smoking is dangerous, equally dangerous, or more dangerous. So there is no justification for hurting others without any problems of theirs or without their mistakes. So a smoker is harming the public, harming the environment, harming the society in multiple ways. So we are trying to create an impression that smoking is a social evil. It's not a habit, no, a simple habit or a negligible habit. It's a social evil. The society should look at it as a social evil and join hands together to first to prevent spread of this epidemic, second to reduce the consumption, third to rehabilitate the addicts. I'm very happy to say the Ministry of Public Health has various programs. The Ministry of Public Health in Qatar has various programs to help smokers to quit. There are 11 special clinics in different primary health centers, in addition to a full-fledged stop smoking clinic at Hamad General Hospital, where they will give enough counseling, then medication and follow-up. This will help smokers to quit the habit. And at the same time, they are also doing lots of educational awareness programs in the society, joining people. There, my topic becomes more relevant. Only together we can work or make a tobacco-free society a real one. Law cannot make it. Governments cannot make it. The society as a whole should join hands, realizing the seriousness of the situation, realizing the hazards of this to the individual and to the society. If all joins together, cooperate together, there will be wonderful results. And this year's WHO's theme is highly relevant. It is not just quitting. As Zishan pointed it out, those who are quitting without medical assistance and scientific programs, they may come back to this habit again, maybe in 2 weeks or 3, or sometimes in 1 month. Whereas WHO this year wants the people to declare their commitment, while say commit to quit. Make a social commitment to quit, to ensure your health, the health of your family, health of your friends, and the health of the society at large. So, dear friends, I have to highlight only one point. The smoking is a serious social evil. People are smoking in public. They are consuming various tobacco products in public. It should not happen. It should be viewed, the society should view this as a so serious social evil. Then this will be reduced. Perhaps the cigarette is a product which is publicly available with a warning note written on it. Consuming me is dangerous to your health. So it should not happen. Once we all, not only educators, not only social workers, doctors, engineers, people in all walks of life can join hands together and at least prevent one person from this. So this habit, that will make wonderful changes in the society. And let's hope this day will make us think on this aspect. This day will make us more focused on this social evil and do something for us and for the society. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And I wish all the very best to the organizers. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Dr. Amanullah. Indeed, smoking is a social evil. An important takeaway from your speech. Thousands of people stop smoking a day by dying from it. Our next speaker is Dr. Saud Ahmed. He did his MS ENT and MBS in hospital management. He received advanced training in head and neck cancer surgeries and training on lateral skull-based surgery. He shall speak on tobacco and cancers. Over to Dr. Saud.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good evening to all participants. Am I audible?
Yes, please proceed.
It's indeed a pleasure to have been invited to this beautiful and lovely forum tonight. And I would like to thank the organizing committee and also the event sponsors for conducting such an important awareness program on such an important day. Without much delay, I would like to start my presentation. So I just have about 2 to 3 slides. So as we are all aware that tobacco comes in various forms, and no form is less sinister than the other, whether it is inhaled in the form of cigarettes, whether it's chewed in the form of betel, along with betel leaf, or in the form of squid, or whether it's inhaled in the form of vaping, which is e-nicotine. In either form, cigarette smoke, it contains carcinogens. There's a lot of chemicals in that which are called carcinogens, and these carcinogens, they have an impact on the body's physiology. So these carcinogens, they tamper with the body's DNA and gives rise to various kinds of cancers. Like I told, it can be even in the form of chewing or inhalation. And from head to toe, it can affect any part of the body. If you can see this image, right from the mouth and throat, including the sinuses, till the lower end, which is the urinary bladder, colon, and rectum. So tobacco can affect any part of the body, causing a variety of cancers. So we all know this. I mean, most of them know this. Whoever buys a pack of cigarettes knows that it's written on the cigarette, and even there are photographs on that depicting the severity of the consequences in terms of bizarre photographs of big ulcers, big swellings around the neck. In spite of that, if somebody goes ahead or somebody promotes this habit, then this definition definitely holds good for him. So now what we need to understand is, in spite of this knowledge that is stored in the brain, our community at a larger level has not assimilated this problem into their day-to-day affairs, or has not considered this to be a major health problem. Trust me, having worked in a cancer hospital at Bangalore, the top cancer hospital in Bangalore, about 5 years back, I was working in the head and neck cancer department, seeing cancer patients day in and day out, and more than 90% of the head and neck cancers were related to tobacco. This causes, like Dr. Zishan has very well, along with his statistical cover, has given us a very good information regarding the economic burden and other burdens that tobacco causes. So when we look at the kind of the effect that the cancers have got, I would just share my experience with the head and neck cancers. The quality of life takes a big banging. The quality of in terms of how we eat, how we talk, our eating is affected. If somebody develops cancers of the tongue and the oral cavity, oropharynx, eating habits are affected, the speech is affected, respiration. If the voice box is affected, the voice box is removed by surgery, and then the breathing is hole in the neck, so your normal nasal respiration is affected. The quality of speech, quality of eating, and swallowing, quality of respiration, everything takes a banging. So there's a big impact on the quality of life. This hampers the social life. It has an impact on the economy at an individual level, at the family level, at the social level, and crores of money are being spent. Crores of money is being spent on the rehab, on the diagnosis, on the treatment of cancer patients, whether it's at the government or at the private level. So, having said this in a nutshell, we are all aware that tobacco is linked to cancers. Let us all pledge, as the theme of today's webinar, if we are smokers, to quit smoking at one shot, and also let us try and become ambassadors of change. Let's propagate this message into the community, and it's not about scaring people. So they might say, anyway, I'm going to die. I might just take my last puff and finish up my life with something I like. No, but it's about the consequences that fall upon the family, upon the society. We need to have a more healthier and more productive community, and in that we need to propagate a disease-free approach towards our life. So, inshallah, let's all pledge to propagate this message, and let's hope that our webinar makes at least a small difference in the lives of people. Thank you once again for this opportunity to speak on this forum. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Saud, for very well explaining the effects of smoking on throat in a very short time. The best time to quit smoking was the day you started. The second best time to quit is today. Our next speaker is Dr. Syed Sultan. He is an alumnus of Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology, Australia, where he did his PhD. He is specialized in nanotechnology and biomedical engineering. He received Global Distinguished Talent Award from Australian Home Affairs. He is the co-founder and CEO of Chromus Ski and Circles of Science Foundation, Melbourne, Australia. He shall speak on the science of smoking. Over to Dr. Sultan. Let me Dr. Sultan, yes.
Peace and blessings be upon all of you. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Okay. Thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity. Indeed, it's a great honor for me. Today, I'm going to talk about a very important thing that not many people know about cigarettes. A lot of experts around the globe says cigarette smokes contain over 4,000 different chemical compounds. A significant number of them are toxic and can also damage our cells. And many of them are carcinogenic as well. So today, I'm going to talk about some of my personal experience of researching about gases. I have developed a really small sensor that can diagnose diabetes from human breath. In that pursuit, I learned quite a lot about different gases in our human breath, because when a person develops certain disease, certain gases are found in abnormal quantity in our breath. So I developed a sensor to detect those abnormal gases as biomarkers to detect diseases. Say, for example, if someone's acetone concentration is higher in their breath, that means their blood glucose level is higher, and vice versa. So my research area is basically researching about the biomarkers from human breath and identifying disease. And I was also involved if I can diagnose corona from human breath as well. So now coming to the point, there's quite a lot of my friends who researched about cancer, but they themselves smoke cigarettes. Especially in the field of research, it gets really stressful, and quite a lot of researchers smoke a lot of cigarettes. Then one day, I decided to, do a bit of research about the dynamics, the gas dynamics of breath. That's when I found out that cigarette has 4,000 different chemical compounds in them. Initially, what I thought was cigarette is all about a fresh tobacco, and and while smoking it, it gives you this pleasure of nicotine. But I asked one of my friend who is a very, we call him Shah Rukh Khan, because I've heard a few years ago that Shah Rukh Khan is a chain smoker. And this guy is also a Chinese Shah Rukh Khan. He's from Shanghai, and he smokes like every time you go out with him for a walk, he make you passively smoke at least 2-3 cigarettes. So one day there's a equipment called gas chromatographer. What this gas chromatographer does is it has the capability to separate different gases in a gas mixture. So I asked him to smoke a cigarette inside the lab with a permission, and his breath was blown into the gas chromatographer. Interestingly, I was shocked, and I found so many different gases in his breath. Before that, we also tested his breath without a smoking anything at all. The first thing I found was acetaldehyde. It is a chemical that's used in resins and glues, and it is a carcinogen. Then the second gas I found was acetone. That's something we use in the nail polish, and it also causes irritation to your eyes, nose, and throat. And long-term exposure to acetone can cause liver and kidney disease. The third one was acetonitrile, which is also called a vinyl cyanide. From the name cyanide itself, you can get it. It's a human carcinogen. Then I found ammonia. Ammonia can cause asthma and can also reduce your blood pressure. Then benzene. Benzene is basically used in gasoline, and it can cause several kinds of cancers, especially leukemia. Then I found cadmium, which can damage your brain cells, kidneys, and liver. Then I saw cathol. It elevates your blood pressure and can also cause respiratory tract. Then chromium. Chromium is a basic component for lung cancer. Then cresol, formaldehyde, hydrogen cyanide, hydroquinone, isoporin, lead. Lead basically damages our nerves in the brain. It's not even the nerves in our body, but especially the nerves in the brain. The nickel, which is also a carcinogen, methyl ethyl ketone, which completely put you to depression, and it can cause the irritation of your eye. The nitric acid, that's the major contribution to the acid rain, and which is also one of the reason for global warming and the lot of climate changes. Nitric acid is also one of the toxic acid in its liquid form. Then phenol, pyridine, styrene, toluene, and finally nicotine, which is not a carcinogenic. However, it's a highly addictive, and that's the pleasure that people find smoking cigarettes. Carbon monoxide. And the most dangerous thing that I found was tar. Tar is one of the major components for lung cancer as well. So, that was the end of his smoking. As a scientist, when he saw all those gases in his breath after one cigarette, he was really shocked, and he sort of told me that he's not going to smoke a cigarette anymore, and I've never saw him smoking cigarette anymore. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is what cigarette does to you in your body. We talk about different forms of danger to the human body, like accidents, alcohol, bad weather, genetically modified food. But have you ever thought of this one cigarette that can put these many chemicals into your body, mind, and soul? Please think of it. And as a scientist, this is a very awakening
Dr. Sultan, can you unmute yourself, please?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share this wonderful message with distinguished people here. And I also thank Dr. Noor for bringing me into this platform, and I would like to contribute as much I can in the future as well for this sort of events. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sultan, for enlightening on science of smoking and your live experiment in the lab on release of various gases due to smoking is very serious for all of us to ponder upon. All our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. Our next speaker is Dr. Noor Fatima. She comes with 20 years of experience as a neurobehavioral scientist, consulting psychologist, international coach, and facilitator. She conducts series of advanced certification programs called the Change Before the Change. She conducts one-on-one and group counseling for individuals as well as for education institutes and corporates. She also conducts training interventions for specific groups like school children, working mothers, executives, and teenagers. She shall speak on breaking the habits. Over to Dr. Noor Fatima. Let me allow to unmute. Yes.
A very good evening to everyone. Peace and blessings upon you all. Thank you so much, Mr. Wasim, for this opportunity. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes.
Okay. Give me a moment to just share my screen with you all. All right. My topic for today is breaking the habit, how to help individuals quit smoking once and for all. And as my previous predecessor have said in today's session, it's less than 5% of the population of smokers who turn cold turkey. When I say cold turkey, it means they decide to stop smoking, like Dr. Sultan's friend, who saw the results from his study and immediately stopped smoking and never took back to smoking. But that percentage of people is very, very, very small. Majority of the people, that is 95 to 98% of the people, experience a relapse and come back to smoking if they do not have help. So today's session is all about understanding how habits are formed, what goes on inside our brain, what comprises of the habit loop, and how can we break unhealthy habits and replace them with healthy habits. So without wasting any more time, let me dive into today's session. Let's try and make the session as interactive as possible. So I will ask questions, requesting participants to either type out their messages in the chat box or to unmute themselves and respond. So let me start off by asking a very simple question. What are habits? Anyone would like to share? What do you understand by habits?
Participants, excuse me, participants, you can unmute yourself now if you want to.
Dr. Kyle says they are routine things. Yes, thank you very much. What else? What are habits?
Habits are the one which one continuously do in his or her spare time.
In her spare time, yes. Something that we do repeatedly. Very good, Mr. Rehan. Anything else?
Habits is something like we are not able to change. It takes time to
Excellent.
break.
Habits are difficult to change and they take time. You're absolutely right. But it's not impossible to break them. All of you all are
Yes.
absolutely right. So let me share what habits are.
Habits are something which we cannot leave.
Habits are something which we think we cannot leave, but with consistency, discipline, and effort, yes, we can leave them. Anything that we
Yeah.
are addicted to, very good. It takes time, says Santosh, to form. Yes, habits do take time. And there are two types of habits: habits that are good and habits that are bad. Habits that are good help us to function effortlessly. In fact, good without habits, you and I would not be able to carry on our everyday processes. If you have to think every time how do we brush our teeth, how to put on clothes, when do we, the route that we have to take to office, life would become impossible. All these are habits or patterns that we have formed as we have grown up because of doing the same action again and again and again. But life is not only about good habits. Along the way, we develop certain habits that are very unhealthy, and smoking is one such habit. As Dr. Amin said very rightly earlier, it is a social evil, and we have to break this evil. So all of you are very right in what you said. Let me just show you a little bit about what habits are. Habits are mental shortcuts for a recurring problem. We do it so many times. We do it again and again and again and again till it becomes an automatic response, almost like a reflex action. So the minute we get up in the morning, what's the first thing we do? We rush to the toilet, we take our toothbrush out, we put on the paste, and we brush our teeth. Do you have to think about it? Do we waste time thinking, how should I open the toothpaste? How should I put the paste on the brush? We don't think about these things. These are automatic responses because right from early childhood, we have been trained into it. We've been taught how to do these actions. So they become patterns. They become memory traces that are etched in our brain. So every time we execute a habit or display a habit, it is linked to a cue in the environment. That means there is a trigger in the environment. The trigger could be getting up in the morning at a particular time and then going to the washroom and taking a shower and brushing your teeth, getting ready for work, having food at a particular time. So these are what habits are. Some are good, some are bad. And our focus is on the negative habits. So let me share with you a case study. This is about a person called Eugene Pauly. Now, most neuroscientists, neuropsychologists who are in the space of in the entire work of neuroscience are very familiar with this case study. In fact, it's called the EP case study. Just give me a couple of minutes to share this with all of y'all. Now, Eugene Pauly, at the age of 71, till 71, he was perfectly all right. Suddenly, at the age of 71, one day, he was preparing dinner for his family, for his wife and for himself. And his wife told him, I hope you remember, Michael is coming over tomorrow for dinner. And Eugene said, who's Michael? And that was a very strange question. It's a very odd question because Michael was their son. And Eugene did not remember his son all of a sudden. And his wife thought he was just being very silly and funny, and she just ignored it. Next day, Eugene had high fever. He was burning up 104, and the fever was climbing. He started vomiting. He developed severe stomach pain. He was sweating profusely. He was rushed to the ER, to the emergency room. By the time they got him into the ER, he had become violent. He was not cooperating with the doctors. He was using abusive language. They immediately had to sedate him, strap him down, and then started administering the medications. When they started doing the various blood tests, they also extracted cerebrospinal fluid from his vertebral column to analyze it and gave it for a culture study. And what they found from that was he had developed an infection, viral encephalitis, or what we call brain fever. And this virus typically is unharmful if it does not reach the brain, but when it reaches the brain, it becomes catastrophic. It starts eating up the brain tissues, and it has started very aggressively attacking Eugene Pauly's brain. And within a few hours, he went into coma while the doctors did their best to give him the best of medication, pumped him with a whole lot of antibiotics. For the next 10 days, EP was in a coma. Doctors did not know to what extent the brain damage was, if the medication was either effective or not. But miraculously, after 10 days, he came out of the coma and his recovery was phenomenal. Doctors expected that he would lose his speech, he would not be able to walk, he would have other negative side effects because of the brain fever. But within a week's time, his speech was back to normal. In 2 weeks' time, he was able to walk. However, he lost out on the last 25 years of his life, wiped clean. He forgot everything about the last 25 years of his life. And even worse, he could not make any more new memories. That means whatever happened, he could not retain that memory. So every time the same doctors would come, the nurses would come, it was like a fresh person. He would ask their names again. He could not remember their names. He forgot everything about his children. He remembered his wife because he was married for more than 25 years. He remembered everything that happened before the last 25 years. And he was not able to make any kind of fresh memories. So the doctors finally released him from the hospital and said he was fit to go back home. But they told his wife that he has to be under constant supervision. He cannot be left alone because he would wander off and he might never be able to get back home. And since he does not have any, he's not able to form new memories, it'll be very difficult for him to function. His wife got in touch with the best neuroscientists, neuropsychologists, neurosurgeons to find out what is the best course of treatment. And they were all working with him. In the meantime, his wife created a fantastic plan. She had a systematic plan as to when he should get up, what he should eat, what he should wear, when he should, how his entire day pans out, basically. And she decided that every day after breakfast and lunch, he needed some exposure to sunlight. So she would take him out for a walk. So every morning after breakfast and after lunch, they would go, she charted out a route and they would walk for about 25 minutes. She would take him the same path and they would come back the same path every single day for the next 3 months. Now, one day, his wife fell very ill. And after breakfast, she went and she slept. And when she woke up, she realized that Eugene was not in the house. She immediately panicked. And she rushed to her neighbor's house. She thought maybe he wandered off over there. She checked the entire neighborhood, but Eugene was not there anywhere. She was in a panic mode. She came back home running, looking to call the cops to complain that her husband is missing. But when she comes home, she sees that EP, Eugene Polly, was sitting very comfortably on his rocking chair with his favorite mug of coffee, watching television. And she asked him, "Where did you go?" And he said, "What do you mean, where did I go? I've been sitting here all the while." He had forgotten that he had gone off and wandered off somewhere. She only realized where he'd gone because she saw some pine cones and stones lying on the table. And then she realized that he's gone for his morning walk all by himself because she did not take him. And he didn't even realize that it had become an automatic response. And she knew this because on the way, on the route that they would take, there were lots of pine trees. And Eugene had this habit of picking up little trinkets, little pebbles, little pine cones and coming back. So the next day, intentionally, she did not take him for the morning walk. And automatically, Eugene got up after his breakfast and walked the same path that he's been taking for the last 3 months and came back home safely, navigated his way beautifully back home without any stress, without any tension, without getting lost. And that was a breakthrough in medical science, because that's when we realized how habits are formed. When you do the same thing again and again and again, they get entrenched in your brain. They become memory traces. They become automatic responses. And in fact, this is called the Polly principle. If you repeat an action often enough, it'll become automatic and absolutely effortless. So the point of sharing this story is, if a brain damaged person can create new habits, there's no reason why a smoker with a healthy brain cannot break his unhealthy habit and form new habits. So honestly, there is no excuse for anyone who's smoking saying it's too difficult. It might be difficult, but it's not impossible. If a brain damaged person can do it, then you and I can definitely do it. What do you say? Give me a thumbs up if you all agree. Are we on the same page? Do you think it's possible? Fantastic. Excellent. Let's move on. So let's see what happens inside the brain. And I'm going to try and make this as simple as possible. When habits are formed, they typically are formed in an area of the brain called the striatum, or where the basal ganglia is. And this area is very rich in a neurotransmitter called dopamine. And what is dopamine? Dopamine is a pleasure-seeking chemical. It's an impulsive chemical. It gives you instant gratification. So that is why smokers, before a meeting, they have this instant urge to go and smoke before they come for a meeting or before any important event, because they feel it gives them a sense of confidence. It gives them that little extra boost. But what is happening is nicotine, which is in your cigarette, is mimicking the action of dopamine and is giving that false sense of instant gratification and pleasure. So that's what it does. And typically what happens in the brain is when new patterns are created, when new neural pathways are created, when we repeatedly do the action again and again and again. And if we stop a particular action or reduce doing a particular action, finally the neural pathway will completely disappear or fade away with time. This is what happens inside our brain. So I'm just very simplistically trying to explain this concept to you. So when we talk about the habit loop and breaking the habit, there are three elements to it. There is a cue in the environment, which we call the trigger. And when it comes to smoking, our trigger could be, it could be anything. The trigger could be a break at 11 o'clock if you're working and you decide to take a coffee break, where most people would go and grab a cup of coffee or a juice or have a snack. Smokers in their office would rush to the smoke zone with a friend. So the cue is the break, the reminder out there, that time becomes your cue to perform a particular action, which is smoking. And when the action is performed, it leads to a reward, which is instant gratification that they get, which is released by dopamine in your brain. So now we have to replace step 2. Instead of smoking, we have to replace it with another option, and we can see what that is. When we're talking about quitting smoking, we'll understand what are the different things we can replace instead of a cigarette. So the $1 million question is, how do we quit smoking? First and foremost, you need to identify what kind of a smoker you are. Figure out when you normally smoke and why you smoke. Identify things, situations, feelings, and people who might influence you to smoke. This will enable you to determine the steps and the techniques that you need to follow to quit smoking. So first and foremost, decide to stop smoking. There are two types of people that we have, two types of smokers. One, who have decided and are making a firm commitment to quit smoking, but are finding it difficult to quit. The other are people who smoke, but they don't really want to quit. So my focus is not on the second group, because you can only take the horse to the water. You cannot force the horse to drink water. So I'm focusing on the group of people who are committed to quitting smoking. Yeah. So decide and set a quit date. Second step, clean up. Throw out all the tobacco leftovers in your house, cigarette lighters, cigarettes, ashtrays from your home, from your car, from your work. Wash everything in your house so that there's no smell of cigarette or any kind of smoke in your house, especially nicotine smoke, the cigarette smoke. That's step 2. Step 3, create a support group with your family, with your friends, with your colleagues, and announce your decision to everybody so that they will encourage you, motivate you to quit smoking. Whenever there is an urge to smoke, switch to your support group, talk to them, go out with them, do something different. Do not do not succumb to that desire, that craving at that point of time. The next step is buddy up. Find another person who has a similar goal or who's trying to quit smoking like you. Avoid friends and colleagues who smoke. They might be fantastic human beings, great people, excellent in their work, but if they are smoking, they have a negative impact on you, and they're going to slow down your progress or maybe completely hamper your progress of giving up smoking. So avoid people who smoke. The next is replacement therapy. So when we talk about breaking the smoking loop, we have to replace the cigarette with something else. And there are multiple things that you can replace it with. You can either chew gum, have health bars and snacks, fruit juices, green tea, even boiled veggies with a little bit of salt and pepper is delicious. So every time you have the urge, make sure you have any of these things handy next to you, which you can pop in your mouth. Very, very, very important. Avoid idle time. The minute you have empty time, immediately the hand goes to the cigarette and the lighter. So keep yourself productive the whole day. Engage your mind productively in different things so that you do not have idle time in your hands. The next step for all chronic smokers, chain smokers, is please seek professional help. reach out to a psychologist, a counselor, a therapist. They have a variety of tools and techniques to help you quit smoking. We use cognitive behavioral therapy, rational emotive therapy. We talk to people about it. We use something called flooding and implosive therapy in certain cases, because this is a very drastic step. So what we do in flooding and implosive therapy is, if there is a chain smoker, and we also have a medical professional with us, if the person typically smokes a pack of cigarettes, that's 20 cigarettes in a day, we give them complete 20 cigarettes that they have to finish smoking within a limited time, like 45 minutes or 1 hour, and they cannot stop smoking. They have to have cigarette after cigarette after cigarette after cigarette after cigarette till they feel so sick that they start throwing up, they have severe stomach pain, they start sweating. The idea is to create a repulsion in them. The idea is to associate that unpleasant sick feeling with cigarettes. So next time they even think of picking up a cigarette, they remember this episode, because they'll be sick at least for a week to 10 days after an implosive therapy session or flooding technique. Again, we don't use this with all smokers. It depends on the kind of smoker that comes to us and if he's able to handle this. Yes, he will be treated with medication along with this, but that's one technique. Then there is different types of aversion therapies and definitely positive reinforcement. Apart from this, every time you achieve a milestone, from 20 cigarettes, if you've reduced it to 10 cigarettes, reward yourself, celebrate your success. If you have stopped smoking for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, I think you deserve a big treat. Go out on that holiday that you wanted, treat yourself to a laptop or an iPhone 12 or whatever it is that you've always wanted. Remember to celebrate your success. These are small little pointers just to keep in mind. There's lots that we can do to help people if they approach us, if they come to us. So please get help when needed. Some of the most common methods of coping and reducing your cigarette craving is to find an oral substitute. Put something in your mouth, because otherwise your hand will go to the cigarette. Have a health bar, have a snack, chew gum, drink juice, drink water. Water is so powerful and it helps in reducing the withdrawal symptoms. The second thing is keep your mind busy. Have lots of puzzles with you so that you can use your hands, play games. I would not encourage playing games, especially the computer games and the mobile games, because they are as addictive as smoking and they're very damaging. And I have seen families being ruined because people are so addicted to the games. Again, it releases an excessive amount of dopamine, which is instant gratification again. So keep your mind busy by playing puzzles or reading or something else. Keep your hands busy so that it does not go to the cigarette. Develop hobbies like gardening, playing badminton, or any kind of sport. Exercise is the best form of detox. Brush your teeth to keep your cravings away. Drink a lot of water and stay hydrated. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of right kind of water. We all say drink water, but most of us are ignorant. We are unaware about the different kinds of waters that are available. And tragically, most of us drink RO waters, which are very damaging for the body because they have been stripped of all the nutrients. I mean, when it comes to water, this is an area I'm very, very, very passionate about. I can speak for 2 hours exclusively on water. So if any of you all are really interested in knowing more about water, how water can prevent various kinds of diseases, how water can improve your health and lifestyle and well-being, please reach out to me and I would love to share this, because we do awareness programs exclusively on water at least once a week or once in a fortnight. And water minimizes nicotine withdrawal symptoms. So that's very, very powerful. Keep yourself active, walking, stretching, running. Physically be very healthy because it's a form of detox. Try and relax yourself and calm yourself down through breathing exercises. Get up from the table immediately after eating, because most smokers tend to smoke after a meal. They tend to smoke in the morning and they tend to smoke after every meal. So please make sure you get up from the table, move away from that situation, from that environment, and go to a different setting just to stop that craving that comes. If you can resist that craving for the first initial minutes, then it goes a long way in quitting smoking. Now, this is something that I would encourage all smokers to do. It's an activity for you all. So calculate how much of money you spend each day on cigarettes. Every time you indulge in smoking, please take the same amount of money and give it away in charity. So if you smoke 10 cigarettes a day and each cigarette costs 15 rupees, that's 150 rupees spent on a day for 10 cigarettes. Take the same amount of money and give it away in charity. So for 30 days of smoking, You're spending 4,500 rupees just burning that money. Take another 4,500 rupees and give it away in charity. And you will see that a total of 9,000 rupees per month is gone just because of smoking. And you will feel the pinch. And as you decrease your smoking, your financial condition will also improve. So please do this every time you pick up a cigarette, keep that amount of money aside to give it away in charity. Breaking the loop is all about being consistent and having discipline. Remember, it takes a minimum of 66 days to break a habit and to replace it with a new one. After that, it becomes an automatic response. Your body gets used to it, your brain gets used to it. So 66 days of consistency and discipline is what is required, minimum. And there's something called the 5-second rule. If you can control your impulse, if you can control your urge to stop smoking for 5 seconds, that's a good start. So just count back once. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In those 5 seconds, get up and do something else that would distract you. And that would go a long way in helping you. Remember the 4 Ds. Drink water, the right kind of water, hydrogenated water, alkalized water. Sip it slowly. Hold it in your mouth for a while before you swallow it. Delay your gratification. Practice the 5-second rule. When you've mastered the 5-second rule, increase it to 30 seconds, then 1 minute, then 2 minutes. So the first 2 minutes, if you can delay the gratification or the urge to smoke, that is fantastic. The incidence continues to decrease. Practice deep breathing. Ask your therapist, ask your counselor to teach you various muscular relaxation techniques. Distract yourself. Move away from the environment, person, or situation that's forcing you to smoke. Move away from those triggers and go back to your support group. Very, very important. Remember, change happens in stages and it is a slow and gradual process. So consistency and discipline are the key. Now, this is something that was spoken about earlier as well. I'm just doing this as a recap and highlighting it to you. If you stop smoking for 20 minutes, your blood pressure decreases and comes back to normal. If you quit smoking for 8 hours, the carbon monoxide in your blood drops back to normal and the oxygen increases. 48 hours of quitting, your nerve endings start to regenerate and your sense of smell and taste get better. Most smokers can't smell most of the things and they can't taste. That is why they oversalt and overseason everything that they eat. After 1 to 9 months of quitting to smoke, you will see that your cough is reduced, the congestion, the sinuses, fatigue, shortness of breath decreases. After 1 year, the risk of heart attack comes down by 50%. After 5 years, your stroke, the risk of a stroke comes down to someone who's never smoked. After 10 years of quitting, your risk of all smoking-related cancers, whether it's lung cancer, mouth cancer, stomach cancer, pancreatic cancer, throat cancer, decreases by 50%. After 15 years of quitting to smoke, your risk of heart attack, any heart-related disease or smoking-related death is equivalent to a person who has never smoked in his life. So the healing process starts immediately. So it's never too late to stop smoking. Now, this is a question to all my friends out here. Are some cigarettes better than the others? What do you all think? Doctors, what do you all feel? Are some cigarettes better than the others? No.
No.
Not at all. All right, Arshad says not at all.
No.
Excellent. You're absolutely right. There is no such thing as a safe cigarette. No such thing as a safe cigarette. Light, low-tar cigarettes are all deceptive. It's just manipulation by the manufacturers. So please don't fall prey to any of these scams. Finally, what's most important is that we have to change our attitude towards smoking. As a society, we need to adopt a no tolerance to smoking. In our neighborhoods, we need to make our neighborhoods, a smoke zone free. We should not encourage our neighbors from smoking. We should help them to quit smoking. So the responsibility lies on us. The onus lies on us. That's at all the steps that I told you before this was at the individual level. But now it becomes the responsibility and the onus of the society. So neighborhoods and communities should stand up and say, no more smoking in this area. Organizations should stop having smoke zones in companies. Why do they even have a smoke zone out over there? It's ridiculous. Why do we have smoke zones in airports? All this is indirectly promoting people to go out over there and smoke. If you don't have a smoke zone, there's no place to smoke. So organizations should relook at their values. I have a very dear friend who I think is part of today's session, who worked for a fantastic, one of the biggest tobacco producing companies in India. And he was telling me that they were given 1,000 cigarettes per month for free, even if you're a non-smoker, and they could distribute it to others. Where are the organizational values? Where is the ethics? How can you give 1,000 cigarettes for free to people and say do whatever you want and encourage smoking? I question values and ethics out over here. So organizations need to be more sensitive. Religious bodies and institutions should start talking about the ill effects of smoking. For Muslims, every Friday we have the khutbah in our mosque. We should encourage our religious leaders, our imams, to talk about the ill effects of smoking. For the Hindus, you have the satsang that happens every week. Ask your religious leaders to start talking about it. We have the Sunday churches. We should need to ask our priests to start talking about it out over there. Start talking about it in synagogues. I think religious bodies are very powerful. They're very influential. If everyone starts talking about the negative impacts of smoking, we will see a drastic cut down in the incidence and the rate of smoking. At the national level, policies and procedures need to be relooked at. But at the national level and organizational level, for them, it's a money-making scheme. So I don't know how many people will be willing to relook at those policies, but I highly urge people, if you can influence your politicians, your decision makers, your key stakeholders, increase taxes, have strict laws, ensure that there's absolutely no smoking in public places. Movies I don't understand movies. It's so ironical because right at the beginning of a movie, they say, smoking is bad, tobacco is bad, these are the cancers. And during the movie, you'll see actors smoking. So what is the subliminal message that we are sending out over here? It's contradictory. So I think we as a society need to get together and have a no tolerance towards smoking. With this, I'm wrapping up my session for today. Thank you all for your very patient listening. If you'll need to reach out to me, my coordinates are here. You can email me, you can WhatsApp me. Please do not call me. I don't take anyone's phone from unidentified numbers. Message me and I will definitely respond. Thank you very much. Have a lovely evening. Stay home, stay safe.
Thank you very much, Dr. Noor Fatima, for an interactive session on breaking the habits. And you engaged us so well with the case study and tips to quit smoking. Giving up smoking is easy if there is a commitment. Now, let us move on to the second session. I feel that session shall be complete if we listen to our brothers who experienced smoking and later decided to quit. We have Advocate Arshad Jamil with us. He did his master's in intellectual property rights. He is the senior patent attorney having clients across US. He shall share his experience and difficult times during smoking and his strong commitment to overcome. He shall speak on how I quit at one go. Over to Advocate Arshad Jamil.
Thank you, Wasim Bhai. And Assalamu alaikum and good evening, good afternoon to all the attendees here. So I am an alumni of Muslim Hostel Mysore and I did my engineering there. Later on, I did my law. So just as a quick, we were discussing on our Muslim Hostel group, and that is how this event has been organized by Brother Wasim. Thank you so much for organizing this. And I was really keen that I should, share my experience with the people, those who want to quit. So I'm a real-time example of what Brother Dr. Zishan and Dr. Fatima has said, that it's difficult for the smokers to leave, and at least 50% of them switch over again. That's correct, actually. So I was not a smoker during my student days or during my Mysore days. I never smoked it, though we had a family business of beedies. But I was never. But the moment I went to the job, And one of my colleague, when we were going for a tea break with them, as Dr. Fatima mentioned that during tea breaks and all it happens. So when I went there, I was working as a project officer in NIH Roorkee, and he was preparing. He was also an engineering graduate from IIT Roorkee, and he was preparing for IAS exams that those days. And this was like our, we were pally, and we used to go for a cup of tea in the canteen, and also during that time, there was no ban in the smoking in early 90s in the canteens and public places. And then he used to say, "Arey yaar, how did you pass your engineering without smoking?" That was something ridiculous. And still, I feel that, yeah, I should not have listened to him, and should not have taken up this habit. Anyways, the habit came up, and it gradually increased. We used to feel, oh, I spent my life, about 5-10 years in around 8 to 10 years in the hills. So whenever we used to feel cold, we used to feel, oh, chalo, it's cold. Might be that this cigarette may help. That's not the case actually. It doesn't help at all. It is totally a sin, I would say. It is totally damaging your own body, which has been given by God. Such a beautiful version God has created in us as a human beings. It i i would say that not even a single part in the body is which this smoking does not affect. Anyways, how I would not go that how it increased, and actually gradually, whatever is the addiction is, as earlier speakers has said, that it gradually increases, and it may go on to any extent, this addiction. But however, what how it happened to me was that I I suffered. I was in Bombay that time working for a pharmaceutical company as a patent attorney, and I started losing my weight. I started losing my weight. At initial time, I thought, I was feeling, okay, good. This is, but then suddenly I realized that I started losing my muscles and everything. And when a lot of tests I did, nothing was happening. No sugar, no this thing, no this thing. A lot of tests I did, but no, it didn't come to any rescue. And finally, it came that I was suffering from hyperthyroid. I consulted the doctors, and one of the top doctors, Dr. Shashank Joshi, he's now working on with the with on COVID also currently. So he's the India's leading endocrinologist. I went to him because I work with the pharma organization, so it was easy to get an appointment also with him. In the moment he realized my wife was also with me. The prescription, on the writing of the prescription, on the top of the prescription, he wrote in caps letter. I have that prescription with me still. Stop smoking. STOP/SMOIKNG. And he said, if you do not stop, I may not guarantee that you may live for another 4 to 5 years also. He asked the age of my kids and all, and they were small that time. It is way back in 2012, and it was difficult for me. My wife, I said, see, look at it, because she was always a non-advocate of smoking, and she was always wanted me to quit. Then I started the medicines, and medicines started affecting, and my health started improving. Then suddenly I felt, no, I should stop actually. And one fine day I stopped. In the office also, and after coming from the office also, I didn't tell to my wife also even. I stopped it finally. After some days, when I started feeling better, and my health started, getting better, and my weight started getting increased by say 1 or 2 or 3 kgs. I increased. Then I said, yeah. I used to go to the masjid there, in Andheri East. So outside the mosques, we have cigarette shops, pan shops, and those are the shops which are very common outside the mosques in Muslim areas. So I used to go to a mosque in Andheri East there, and Maulana was my friend, that shopkeeper owner. He was asking, "Oh, kya saab cigarette nahi lega aajkal?" And I said, "Okay, chalo aaj de do." And suddenly it started, one cigarette after namaz, I think Maghrib or Isha, whatever. And that one cigarette again, I thought, okay, one per day is okay. For a couple of months it went on. Then I switched over my job from Bangalore to Bangalore, and I came to Bangalore. And for a few couple of months, in the transition period when you are alone and, in the guest house and all, it gradually increased here. Then, then came for 4, 5, then again, coming to 7, 8, 10. It was a very something. My thyroid again started increasing or decreasing, whatever, the readings I was getting. Finally, I was on a vacation. I was on a vacation in Goa in 2014 and my winter breaks with the family. There, I realized that I was getting a lot of cough. Uh, I tried to stop there and I could not. But then I decreased it there in the vacation because family is there, kids are there with you all of the day, so you don't smoke with them. With getting a chance, after the dinner or going out to the hotel, and in the smoking zone area wherever at that time I used to smoke 1 or 2 or maximum 3 cigarettes a day per day. I smoked there. After coming from Goa, while I was driving back to the work, to my office in Electronic City from Koramangala, on the way when I was driving to the on the elevated road, I started coughing profusely, and I had to reduce the speed. The cars are always, going at a higher speed on the elevated road. I had to reduce the speed. I had to stop. I had to breathe properly. Open the windows, look to the water. There was fortunately a water bottle, and when I stopped, when I decreased my speed of the car, the cars behind, and the cabs behind, they started honking. It was getting really difficult to stop the car also, Somehow on the midway, I stopped, and that was a very difficult time. I thought whether I would reach office or not, and that cough made me realize that was now that is the high time that I should stop it. Anyways, so smoking in the office, you have your smoking colleagues, smoking friends who go with you for a puff. In the evening, after Maghrib Namaz, I will play probably and having a cup of tea in the office, and I went outside. Then that colleague with me, I still remember the date. It was 2nd January 2015, and after Namaz, it was around 6 o'clock or 6:15 or so, whatever it was, 6:14, I believe. I was puffing and I was puffing the cigarette, and it was 2, 3 puffs I had taken, and then I said, "Okay, Mukesh Kamath, this is my last cigarette of the life," and I threw it off, squeezed it with my shoe, and till today, Alhamdulillah, by the grace of Almighty, I have not smoked. And that was the determination, So all these slides, what Dr. Fatima showed, that take water therapy, this therapy, that therapy, reduce, watching, blah 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 blah. I would say they don't help at all. They don't help at all. They don't help at all. I tried it during that break, first one. Nothing helps you unless and until you have a self determination. And once you have a self determination, nothing can stop you from doing it again. For a brief of time, there will be of course difficulties, but you have to be determined, like how you determined, to study, how you determined to live, how you determined, that everything would be good. And I like, for that way, I today also I tell to my friends that, friends, those of you are smoking, you are smoking not for you or to release your tensions, or to have some this thing. Just you are smoking to give injury to your own body, to your lungs, and to all the parts of your body, in fact, be it eyes, be it lungs, be it your brain, be it your any other body part. See, thyroid kills it affects the whole of the body. So that is what, the moment you feel. And in fact, I used to debate with certain Maulanas also, and when I saw them, then I used to ask them earlier also that, why do you guys smoke, or why pan mein, tambaku dal ke 0 number or 220 or 420 number tambaku, they will put in the pan and they'll have it. That's actually, that is, had it. I personally believe, I don't know, I'm not Islamic scholar, but I believe that had this tobacco been invented during Prophet's life or during the Quran's period, it would have been banned by Prophet, or by any Islam Quranic revealings. In fact, there are two Quranic ayats from Surah Al-Baqarah. Surah Baqarah says that don't throw yourself into danger by your own hands. The ayat is Surah number 19, number 195 ayah in Surah Baqarah, and it says that don't put yourself into the danger. The ayat is Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. وَأَنْفِقُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ وَأَحْسِنُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Don't throw yourself into danger by your own hands. There is another ayat in Surah Nisa that don't kill yourself, for God Almighty is most merciful to you. This is ayat 29 in Surah Nisa. So these are some of the references I could find. I like Sikhism religion as a religion because of this fact that they have banned the smoking is banned in their religion, and that is a very nice thing. And Sikhism, or the Sikhs, they would not even touch, like we Muslims do not touch liquor, or we do not. It is clearly haram. So smoking is clearly haram for Sikhs, and I appreciate that religion. I think I have spoken much, and this is what my experience had been. One sentence or one word which I say is, when you are determined, and your self-determination only, and a strong determination can lead to you quit this bad habit. And this is absolutely bad. Yeah, some Jahan Ara is writing that smoking is haram in Islam too. I too believe, I'm a firm believer of this fact that smoking is haram. Although we had a beauty business in our family, I debated with my father also once that had it been during the Prophet's time, this would have been, although now, alhamdulillah, my brothers are doctors, and that business, I think some of our employees are only running it, and some family members we have given it to. So it's not that growing much. I would see that, inshallah, that it should not be there. And that's how, that is what I feel. I think if you have any questions, I'll be, or any other thing,
Yeah, we will have question and answer session.
Surely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Your story is truly inspiring with a takeaway determination. It needs courage to come to an online platform and share your life experience. All our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them.
Yeah, I shared it. If I can give a message, I can give a message to, or if at least
you have given a strong message
go right away,
to be determined.
I'll be very happy, and so inshallah I'll get the rewards in Jannah. For taking
now. Let us move on to our third session, that is question and answer. We have panel of moderators, doctors. So if someone would like to have any clarification, any questions, please unmute yourself and ask questions. We can take 2 questions at the moment because we are running out of time, and we will formally end with the vote of thanks, and if possible we'll go for informal session later on. So only 2 questions, please. Anyone, you can unmute yourself.
I have a question with Dr. Noor Fatima. She mentioned that RO water, if I'm right, RO water is not suitable for health. Dr. Noor Fatima, can you elaborate this, and can you just clarify this?
Yes, Mr. Jamshed. In fact, this is a question that I would like to take offline because it would take some time. See, RO water is typically stripped of all the minerals that it has. By the time it comes to us, there are no nutrients in that. And if you actually do a pH test on that, you will see that the RO water pH value is very acidic. It'll be somewhere between 4 and 6. It's not 6. It's not even neutral. So ideally, what we need to be consuming is alkaline or alkalized water. And that kind of water is available to us, but most people are unaware about it. So if you would like to know more about it, you can please reach out to me, send me an email or message me. I'll definitely share all the details about it to you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
doctor. Thank you so much.
One more last question, please. One more last question. If someone, please unmute yourself.
Hi, sir. This is question regarding Nicotex chewable tablets. Are they really helpful in quitting smoking? Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, any doctors would like to reply? Can you repeat the question, please?
It's about the person who wants to quit smoking. Recently in market, this Nicotex chewable gums are available, and they have to take in particular doses. Like initially in the first week, the person who wants to quit, they can take 2 or 3, then randomly increasing like that. Is it a good way in practicing while quitting the smoking, or does really it helps?
Doctors in the panel, can you take this question?
Yes. See, various chewable gums are available, but they have certain side effects. It does not agree with everyone. Some people develop, severe stomach pain. Others tend to vomit. Some others have developed rashes as well. But in the few studies that are available, for some people, it has helped in the long term. So there's about 3 to 7% success rate with any of these chewable gums that are available, nicotine-based chewable gums, replicas. But however, I would request Dr. Zishan to add a little more because he's a lifestyle medicine expert. So Dr. Zishan, is it possible that you can throw some more light on this?
Hi, yes.
Dr. Zishan, yes.
Yeah. So regarding Nicotex chewable gums, I mean, with my limited experience, I would say I'm still very junior in the field. But with the limited experience and literature available, yes, we have seen that these chewable gums actually help in the transition phase. But it really depends on the person because it's not just the gums you take. There are a lot of other factors which determine it. For example, if you have a peer group which actually smokes a lot, and you are among them, and you're the only one who's taking the chewable gums, what happens is eventually you might actually fall off the gums. So it really has an overall perspective. But yes, as a simple note, we have seen that people who take chewable gums helps in the transition phase in stopping smoking.
Thank you, doctor.
Yeah, thank you very much. So we will move on to the vote of thanks. I call upon Dr. Suhail Ahmed for vote of thanks. Dr. Suhail is an alumnus of Aligarh Muslim University and Oxford University. He was the English language instructor at King Abdulaziz University, Jeddah. He is the program director at Maxel Leadership Council and provides online courses across various domains. Over to Dr. Suhail Ahmed.
Thank you very much, Engineer Wasim Amin. I believe that after listening to all the speakers today, the smokers here, they will have more reasons to quit smoking now. Okay, I feel honored to propose the vote of thanks on this occasion. First of all, I would like to thank the event sponsors, FAIME, United Medical Mission, NMH Alumni Association, Maxel Alumni Association, and Maxel Leadership Council. Without their effort, I don't think this event would have seen the light of the day. I would like to thank our keynote speaker, Dr. Noor Fatima, whose presentation was very informative. And I believe that listeners here, they would have benefited much from her presentation. I would like to thank panel moderators, Dr. Zishan Akil, Dr. Saud Ahmed, Dr. Sayed Sultan, Dr. Amanullah, for their valuable talks. I would also like to thank Advocate Arshad Jamil for sharing his experience. That was really very nice. And what he said, that was indeed wonderful, like believing in yourself, self-determination. We talked about that. And I think many of us will agree that where there is a will, there is a will. There is a way. So you have to have that self-belief that you can quit smoking. Nothing is that difficult. So thank you very much, Advocate Arshad Jamil, for sharing your experience. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the listeners here. Had they not been here, this event would have been meaningless. So their presence here on this occasion, that actually adds value to the program. Thank you all very much. Over to Engineer Wasim.
Thank you, Dr. Suhail Ahmed. So we have completed our live session now, like formal live session. So if someone could like to ask more questions, and if doctors permit, we can go ahead. Can we allow 10 minutes to ask further questions? Doctors in the panel.
Sir, I have a question.
Even I have a question.
Yeah, we will take 3 questions because we are running out of time now. So 3 last questions, please.
Sir,
Yes,
actually,
go
it's
ahead.
not a question. Actually, I'm a medical student myself. I have many friends who smoke. Now they have left smoking, but they have switched to e-cigarettes, vapes, which are in market, and with the mentality like this is far more better than the cigarettes. While these e-cigarettes contain a lot, the nicotine level in e-cigarettes is very, very high as compared to cigarettes. So this misconception, it needs to be addressed among youth, that the vapes or e-cigarettes are better than the cigarettes. Thank you, sir.
Yes, I would say thanks for reminding all of us again. The modern cigarettes, as we mentioned earlier, they have some ventilated filters in them. And these ventilated filters actually allow, more vigorous inhalation. So what happens is the chemicals, which can actually cause cancer, go more deeper into the lung tissue. So e-cigarettes, please, no at all.
Thank you, Dr. Bishan.
In fact, many of the countries have banned e-cigarettes now. What we are reading from the news now is that these are getting banned also. So,
Yes.
So Brother Zahid, you tell your colleagues that your friends to not to smoke and not to get to this addiction. It is you all are medical students, and this is a tell them that as a medical professionals, your even ethics should not allow them to.
I have already told them, but the problem is that on mass level, the masses, they don't know about it. It's something that needs to be addressed on larger scale. The awareness among the people, masses.
Sure.
I just like to add one point regarding this. We always have this discussion about creating awareness, and the issue is, to be honest, we are all aware of everything. It's not that we are not aware, and the problem is if I can say it in Hindi, आग हर जगह लगी हुई है, लेकिन हमारी झोंपड़ी, हमारा घर भी जो है झोंपड़ी ही है, चारे से ही बना हुआ है. जब तक आग घर में नहीं लगती, we feel कि आग जो है कहीं पे मौजूद नहीं है. So the problem is everyone is aware, but unless you actually start experiencing it, the side effects, you keep ignoring it. And that's where, especially in smoking, I would like to reiterate, it's not the medicines that actually work. It's your personal determination, the will and understanding that you actually know this is going to affect you over the long run. And unless you actually believe in it, it's not going to work at all. So a lot of the medications, a lot of the counseling are basically based on making a person completely ready. So that's what we do in lifestyle medicine. If you see, lifestyle medicine clinics is the new concept where we tell the patients to come in and tell them what they want to do. So they say, I cannot stop smoking because I have my friends, but I would like to stop smoking over an year. So we say, okay, fine. So how about cutting down from 5 to 4, then over 3, then 2. So this is not just suddenly stopping it up, because that has a rebound effect, but instead saying that if this is really going to affect me over the long run, probably I should think over it.
Excellently said, Dr. Zishan. I totally back you up in this. And many people have relapses very fast when they turn cold turkey. That is, all of a sudden they stop. And many times it has a drastic effect on their physiology because of the withdrawal symptoms. So gradual progression for most people is very beneficial.
Thank you, Dr. Noor.
Any further questions?
Sir, is smoke?
Yeah. So shall we end the session now? I'm going to end the session.
Yes, thank you, Wasim bhai.
Thank
Thank you very
you.
much.
Thank you. Thank you, one and all.
Sir, one